time to paint some more tiny dudes with Toppy. So in my video on Ork skin, I used Cayman Green as the base coat and went up through various shades of olive to give a sort of natural olive Ork skin look. And today, what I'm planning on doing is looking at some different ways of doing Ork skin. I've got an enormous number of shades of green here. Been painting Orks for a while, so I've accumulated a lot of greens. And we're going to look at what you can use for different base coats and different highlights and different techniques that will get different results. Now, they're all the same basic highlighting system that I always use, but just with different shades and tones, and starting from similar starting points, we can see what's actually going to happen. So I've got 5 Ork Nobs here. Each of them is going to be painted using a different set of colours. Let's clear away a few things, shall we? That's the spare colours out of the way. Let's have a look at our 5 knobs. So we start off here with Rainbow of Orks, who is going to be painted using game colour Cayman Green, my standard, well, more or less standard starting point. Young Rainbow here has actually got a Cromlech resin head. I've got a few of those. This is Gazmech Spleen Puncher. He's going to start off with game colours Yellow Olive. Similar colour, but not quite exactly the same. And it's going to be highlighted up through some different shades. Grimguts Toad Chucker. He's starting off with game colour Extra Opaque Heavy Green. All, as far as I can tell, all Vallejo Extra Opaque covers have the word heavy in the title, so it's sort of the standard dark green for that. Spluglugs Git Slapper, and he is in model colour military green. So still a Vallejo colour, but this is the model colour, not the game colour. And finally, Dongblat Lard Chewer, who is going to be the most traditional of these guys. He is being painted in dark green, game colours dark green, and is going to be highlighted up through Sick Green and Goblin Green, which is sort of the traditional way of painting Orks. So I'm not going to show you the whole painting process for each of these boys. It's the same as I did in the Ork skin video. We're just going to sort of skip around and look at the different colours and mixes and have a look at how the result varies. So I am going to mix up some highlights. I'll be writing down which colours I've used down here so that you can see what I'm doing, and also so that I don't forget. And we'll look at what happens after the first highlight step. Okay, round 1 of highlights is done. So, Rainbow of Orks, the Cayman Green with olive green highlights. Much the same as I did on my Ork skin video, except going straight to olive green instead of the 50-50 mix. Gazmech Spleen Puncher, who has got the yellow olive, and then I've done a 50-50 mix there, roughly 50-50, with game colour Camouflage Green, which is quite a bright colour. I was thinking of putting that on straight, but too bright, so 50-50 mix, that'll be the next highlight. Bit of a wild card. This is a new one I've been trying out. It's not showing up incredibly strongly yet because there's going to be at least one more stage of highlight. So this is Grimguts Toad Chucker. He's got the heavy green, and I've mixed that with Green Stuff World's Wolf and Grey, so I'm getting a sort of a grey-green look. I've been playing around with that lately and getting quite nice results, so looking forward to seeing how that goes. Splugglug Git Slapper, military green and Sick Green, 50-50 mix. Sick Green being the equivalent of the old Citadel Snot Green. When I started painting Orks, I was using Snot Green as my base coat. That was my basic Ork skin colour, was Snot Green. Finally, this is Dongblat Lard Chewer. He is the dark green and has been highlighted, gone off screen a bit there, highlighted with pure Sick Green. Now, this is more of an old school, traditional Ork look, dark green and Sick Green. And we're back, and it's raining, so I'm not sure if that's going to pick up on the microphone or not, but there might be some background noise. So, second rounds of highlighting. Here's Bruglorp Full Peer. So this is came in green, and then there was the olive green highlight, and now this has been highlighted all the way up to golden olive, which is more or less my standard system. So there's one extreme highlight round to go. Gasmic Spleen Puncher. I shouldn't have given these guys such hard to pronounce names, should I? So this was Camo Green for his final highlight. Much yellower sort of colour, this one. Again, one of the Cromlech heads. They're a little harder to highlight, just because of the shape of them, I find. So Grimgut's Toad Chucker, the experimental blue-green colour. Blue-green? Bluey grey-green colour. Basically, all I've done here is mix even more wolf and grey into the, the heavy green. So we'll go one final round of extreme highlight with him. Maybe a little further. I don't think there's quite enough difference in the colours. We'll have a bit of a play with him. And Spluglug's Git Slapper. So this is military green and sick green, and now I've highlighted all the way up to pure sick green. The Vallejo game colour sick green, basically the equivalent of Citadel's old snot green. Don't know what Citadel's current equivalent of snot green is, but this is Vallejo's equivalent. Finally, the very traditional version. Here we've got old Dongblat Lard Chewer. So he has just been highlighted up to Goblin Green. So this has gone through dark green, sick green, Goblin Green, the sort of traditional old-fashioned orc colour scheme of yore. So I'm going to go with a final extreme highlight on all these, possibly a little bit of play around with some other weird stuff on Grimguts, because I don't think the highlight's standing out quite enough, and we'll check back in once that is done. Back again, still raining a bit, seems to have calmed down, so we probably won't pick anything up. So, extreme highlights, dead flesh for most of them. Bruglorp here. Dead flesh highlight, extreme highlight to like the lower lip and some parts of the face, and of course the knuckles and a few bits on the arm. So that's him finished. Gasmic Spleen Puncher, same thing. So dead flesh highlight to the face, to the knuckles, pointy bit of the elbow, a few parts of the arm, and because he's got this kill saw grafted into his arm, there's a bit more highlighting around where the arm joins to the mechanical bits, just to emphasise things a little. Mixing things up a bit, I mean, this is of course Grimguts. His extreme highlight is just being pure wolf and grey. So around the lips, chin, cheekbones, nose, eyebrow, the usual knuckles, elbow, and also quite a few orcs have got sort of little popping veins. There's one on his bicep there you should be able to make out. That's been picked out. Now I've done an extreme highlight on all of those, but his is nicely visible, so I've pointed it out on him. Spuglugs, we've gone just up to Goblin Green for him because he's a bit of a darker skin tone. So Goblin Green to the lower lip, upper lip, cheekbones, nose, bit of chin, and of course the knuckles, elbow, and just a few little spots on top of muscles and things like that. And finally, Dongblat Lard Chewer, who is also dead flesh. So dead flesh to the lips, chin, cheekbone, knuckles, elbow, a few other little bits and pieces like that. Now, I usually find that to make orcs' faces look right and to actually get a really good idea of how the skin looks, we need to paint the teeth and finish all that off. So I'm going to do that. Then we'll have a look at them and we'll give a much better idea of how the skin looks once the teeth are done. You can get a proper look at the completed face and it gives you a much better idea. So we are going on hiatus again. Well, this is the final time we're going to see these chaps on the desk because I've finished the teeth using the technique from my first video. And now we get a bit better idea of what their skin looks like. I always find doing the teeth helps quite a lot. Obviously, need to finish the rest of the figures. And the wash is a little glossy still in there. It hasn't completely dried, but it gives you an idea. And what we're going to do is I am going to finish painting these completely, get them into the photo booth, and get some nice sexy photos.